Well, hello guys, we're here for another live Q&A. While you're all getting in the house, I'm going to shut this video down because I don't want it there. Right, here we go. So, how are we all? In lockdown again? By the sounds, well, we are in the UK, and it sounds like everyone else is in there. Nearly everyone else is in the whole world. All right. So, before we start, the usual things. Okay. Featured album. You got to guess it. That's the featured album. Featured artist across the top there. And if you're good enough, tell me what the albums are as well. There's a little link between the two. It's not the same artist, but there's a little link between the two. Let's see if anyone can guess that. And let's see who we've got in the house here. Loads of questions from all sorts of people from all over the world. Peru, Germany, Bristol. That's just on that page. All right. Right, here we go. Oh, there was some people. Paul Carlos from New Jersey there. Welcome. Klaus from Germany. Sharon from Cardiff. Jordan from Poplar in the UK. Nice to see you again, Jordan. Then we've got Mark from Doncaster. Lots of familiar faces here I can see. Paul Kenning. Oh, Paul Kenning from down the road from me. Hello, Paul. Hope you're doing all right. Simon Lewis has got it. Tubular Bells. Charles Clark's got it. Tubular bells. Yeah, everyone's. Yeah, that was an easy. I thought that was an easy one. That was an easy one. Okay, that one's easy. What about that up the top there? Let's see if anyone can get that up the top. All right. Hi from Indiana in the US. That is Beth from the US there. Jack from Poland. Mick from Newcastle. Well, look, loads of people here. There's already about 100 in the house. So thank you for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. We're building up a bit of a following now, I think, and we're having some fun. Oh, the other thing is, don't forget one of these, all right? Unless you're in Australia or New Zealand, it's the wrong time of the day to be drinking out there. But if you're in Europe, or I think it's about lunchtime-ish in the US, you can have a drink, all right? This is Doom Bar. It's a very nice beer. It comes from Cornwall. Anyway, cheers. Right. Yeah, looks like everything's ready to go. So let's get going. If anyone guesses that featured artist, I'll stop and let you know as we go. Don't forget also, I am 30 seconds behind you. So, you know, from when I read that, sorry, from when you type in to when I see it, I think there's about a 30-second delay. Anyway, here we go. For loads of really good questions. Looking forward to it. First one is from Angel, and I think that's Luke, and they are from Peru. It's a very good question, this one. It says, does a photo have more sharpness if I take it with a 35 to 80mm lens set at 35mm than if I take it with an 18 to 35mm lens set at 35 too, right? I've never had that question before ever in my life, but I actually thought it's quite a good question. So what Angel's saying there is 35mm is the focal length. What one's better basically on 35mm on a 35 to 80mm lens, or at 35mm on an 18 to 35mm lens, right? That is complicated, but I know what you mean. Now, I don't know the answer. I've not got no answer for you, Angel, but I can take a guess at it. I mean, I think it'd probably be exactly the same, and it's certainly nothing that I would worry about. But with lenses, they tend to be softer at their widest angle, right? Tend to be, and that's really only wide angle lenses, to be honest. So 35mm shouldn't really make a problem. But if that is the theory going forwards throughout all lenses, then your answer would be that it would be sharper at 35mm on the 18 to 35mm lens, if the theory's correct, all right? But my actual probably guess is that they're probably exactly the same. But I did like that question. It's something that I have not been asked before. Right, let's see who else is in the house now. Klaus is back. He's got some tea. Well done. Mark's got a coffee. And no one's joining me for a drink here. What's going on? Oh, dry January. Oh, Christ. Is that what's going on here? Clive from Spain. Welcome from Spain there. There you go. All right. Good stuff, guys. Still no one's got the featured artist there. I might give you a little clue a bit later on. Now, the next question is from Leo G in Germany. That rings a bell. I might have seen your name there. If you're in the house, let us know. Just checking everything's working. It looks like it is. Yep, Leo from Germany. He says, I've just begun to learn photography, and I realised that I have a lot to learn. Yes, of course, photography is a skill like any others. Though, what is the best course of yours that I should begin with? Well, Leo, I don't want to turn this into an advert, but anyone watching that has done my courses, what do you think Leo should start on in all of the courses that we run over at theschoolofphotography.com? You put your theory in there. If I'm asking me, it's the complete guide to photography, because obviously that's going to get you started. And he also says here, I have to mention that I want to post as many pictures as possible right away on social media. Leo cannot wait. So if you can't wait, Leo, then my advice is the complete guide to photography that we do, but get to the composition lesson. I think it's lesson 4 or 5. So you can get to that lesson quite quick. Now that will start getting you decent shots quite quickly. All right. So that's my answer to you there, Leo. Let's have a look over here. Oh, Rory Hennessy he's on Vin Rouge. What else? And enough someone else on a glass of red wine there, Graham. And yeah, good stuff, guys. Now, no one's still got the featured artist. Everyone's getting tubular bells. So the clue is the tubular bells, and there's pipes, right? So I'm thinking like a pipe. The album directly above it there is got the word pipe in it. There you go. That's my clue to you. Okay. Yeah, and there's a few people there now telling Leo what to do, what course to choose. So thank you for that. The next one here is from Kevin Colburn. It doesn't say where he's from. Very quick and good question to ask here. Overexpose or underexpose for best results in Lightroom? I think you know what I'm going to say here, and that is correctly expose. Right? So there's my first answer. Don't go out and go, I'm going to underexpose or I'm going to overexpose. Go out and say, I'm going to correctly expose. That's the first thing. Now, if there was one or the other to go with, underexposing is your better option because it's easier to pull out detail from shadows than it is to pull out details from highlights. All right. But it also does depend on the photography that you're doing. Obviously, if you're doing snow, it's a different ball game because it's bright white. But I'm talking generally, and I think that's the sort of question that you're asking there. The general answer to that is it is better to be slightly underexposed than slightly overexposed. That's answered your question. Let's now go on to Callum Neon. Neon? Yeah, I think that is Neon. In Bristol, here in the UK. It says, hi, I'm struggling when taking landscape photos. I either have the sky's highlights blown out or the landscape too dark. How common is that? Everyone watching this now is going, that happens to me as well. I know graduated ND filters are an option. Are there any editing tips or camera tricks that you can use to get around this? So I'm assuming, Callum, that you're kind of saying, how do you get around this without using filters, right? There are ways, there's editing ways. You can do HDR photography. If you know what that is, that's when you take a bracketed shot and you merge them together in a program like Lightroom, or there's other programs out there that can do it. Or the other one is to take one picture exposed for the sky and one picture exposed correctly for the sky and one picture exposed correctly for the ground, and just hold it there for 1 minute, Callum, because we've got a winner here. We've got a winner here because I just read it here. Sally Froman. The album above is Pipes of Peace by Paul McCartney. See, you get the link. You get the link. Tubular Bells, Pipes of Peace. All right, and then Band on the Run. David's got Band on the Run there. Yes, so well done. You can't actually see that one there, but that is Paul McCartney. Tug of War. Oh, someone did get that, I think. Oh, Darren got it. Well done, Darren. I didn't. Oh, you can just look at that. So Darren's got that from that tiny little bit there. Well done, Darren, and good to see you, mate. And yeah, good to see you in the house. I hope you're doing well. Now, where was I? I get so distracted by my albums. Callum. Yeah, here we go. Back to Callum. He's struggling with landscape photography. He's either his sky's coming out too bright or his ground's coming out too bright, etc. Right? He can't expose correctly for landscape photography, which is the same as all of us. Let's go over now into Photoshop because I'm going to actually show you a really easy editing technique. This is what you've asked me, an editing technique. I've got a very simple photograph here. Okay, I've took two photographs. All right, one that was exposed correctly for the sky, and one that was exposed, sorry, I've got that the wrong way around. One that was exposed correctly for the ground and one that was exposed correctly for the sky. Okay, so you're with me. I've got two pictures. They've been taken at different exposures. Basically, one's been taken darker than the other. So now what I've actually got is a correctly exposed sky and a correctly exposed ground. Okay, then all you do is you layer them up in Photoshop, like what you can see here. one above the other. I'm going to add a layer mask to this one here. This is the one on top. I'm going to grab my graduate tool, my graduation tool here. I've got black to white. I'm going to make sure I'm still on the mask, and I'm going to quite simply, I'm going to hold down the shift key actually and come up like that. And there you go, right? That's how easy it is. So now what you've got is a correctly exposed picture. The sky is correctly exposed. I'm going to hide that now. So all I've done really, all right, it's a little bit crude here, but I'm being quick because it's a live video, obviously. You just tidy this up with the mask if you want to later. But what I've got is a correctly exposed sky and a correctly exposed ground, and I've merged them together. That's a really easy and simple way to do it. Now, I've done it with a graduation tool on the mask, but obviously, well, not obviously actually, Callum, I don't know if you know how to use Photoshop, but if you do, obviously all you would do is get a brush, and then you would choose black paint, and yeah, that'll do for now. And then I'd brush it away from areas that I don't want this image to be in, because I'm basically hiding it to reveal the image underneath. Then all I've done is added some curves and clipped it to this layer just to give it a bit of contrast and a bit of a boost. All right, so there you go. Really, let's go back to this one here. That's the original picture, and there's me just with a few simple edits to get a nicely balanced picture. I hope that's helped you out, Callum. So you've got, like I say, HDR, which is where you take 3 exposures, merge them together. You've got using filters, which it looks like that you don't want to use filters according to this question, or they're a bit expensive. They can be expensive. The other way is you take 2 pictures, one darker than the other, one for the sky, one for the ground. You merge them together in Photoshop. Easy as that. That was a good question, Callum. Thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Anything coming on here? Nice Bang & Olufsen Hi-Fi 2. Yes, it does, certainly is, Charles. It's a bit worse for wear. It works a little bit worse for wear, but it is a beautiful thing. Now, Alf. We've got next Alf Dornan from North Lanarkshire in Scotland. Welcome, the Scottish. What a beautiful country you have got up there. Now, it says, "Hi Mark. As a newbie to photography, I am unfortunately stuck in the house due to being at risk of catching the corona." Yes, to my senior, because he's got here, due to my senior years. All right, and I'm looking for advice on how to use my camera creatively in the house. I've done a couple of videos recently because of the old corona scenario. Right, I'm going to just point you to them. They're free. You can go and use them. And where are they? Here we go here. So if you go on to my website, and you can just type in flat lay if you want, flat lay, into this search bar at the top, and this will pop up. There's a lovely video there for you to watch. But flat lay photography is this, and I think you said, like, I can use your camera creatively around the house. Well, you just grab things that you've got in the house, and it's all about composition really, and lighting. So it gets you thinking about lighting, it gets you thinking about composition, and it gets you using, well, whatever you've got. For me, I used all my old well, you can see them up there, look. I used all my old cameras, and I created, I wonder if it's gonna, there it is, and I created a flat lay there, and I put a graphic in the middle, and I did some more there, and stuff like that. But it's good fun, and it keeps you occupied for a little while during the old corona stuff that we're in. The other one that I did was this one here, how to take product photos at home. Now, in this particular video, I take product photography like this, and I use a piece of polystyrene and a camera. Right, that's it. And I think that is it actually. Yeah, and some backgrounds and stuff like that. So again, very creative things that you can do at home, and that one is called product photos at home. They're all on my website, on the schoolofphotography.com website. Go over and have a look, Alf, and I really do hope that helps you out, and I'm sure you're not alone being stuck indoors during these times. Fingers crossed it's all gonna end soon. The next question here is diddly-dee. I'm just looking to see if there's any other thing coming through at the moment. Right, the next question here is from Birdie Hovis from Erie, Pennsylvania. Well, it's a lovely name, isn't it, Birdie? Unusual, a lovely name. Now, here we go, Birdie. This is your question. If you have Lightroom and you can use a graduated filter to darken the sky, is it worth buying ND filter kits? There seems to be a theme coming along here. People don't want to go out and buy filters. All right. Please explain what one can do and what one can't do. All right. So your question is, because you can use the graduated filter in Lightroom, do you need to go out and buy graduated filters? Right. Well, yes, you do. You can darken, and I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to go over to Lightroom and show you. You can darken an image in Lightroom, and if it's a raw file, you're going to pull out a lot of detail anyway, so you can get away with it. All right. But every time you pull out shadows or deepen highlights or change the exposure, you degrade the image and you bring noise into that picture. Okay. Now there is a point where you start to really see that noise and you start to see that degrading. So it's always better to get your shot correctly exposed in camera, because then you've got more detail when you go back into Lightroom. Let's go and have a look right at what a filter can do. Okay, so let's go over to here and let's go over to here and let's have a sip of my Doom Bar. I should be sponsored by these, shouldn't I? Doom Bar, if you're watching, I'm up for some sponsorship. You could just send me a few cases. Right, here we go. Now, filters. So here is a picture. If you this was literally the camera's exposure. So you know, like when you just leave it to the camera, you put it on like aperture priority or whatever, and it does it for you. Now this is such a hard picture to take, because look how bright I'm shooting into the sun, and you know, we've got a dark foreground, we've got some dark sea down the bottom and a really bright sky. This picture here is that, so look at the foreground, just look at this area here. So the foreground, look at that, it's just the exposure is exactly the same, but clearly the sky isn't. Now that this one here has been taken with a 2-stop, I believe, could have been 3, I can't remember, but a 2-stop hard graduation filter, and it's balanced out the exposure. Now when you start balancing out exposures, you can start doing some fancy things when it comes to Lightroom and Photoshop, right? This just hasn't got the detail. I mean, I'll give it a quick go for you, shall I? Actually, on screen you'll probably look all right, but on your screen, I mean. So here's the graduation filter. Let's bring it down. I'm going to hide that a minute. Let's bring it down and let's change the exposure. And yeah, you can see that it's done an all right job. All right. If you zoom in, you'll see the degrading. But if you get it right in camera, let's reset that. It will be like that anyway. I hope that makes sense. So that's as it is without any processing. And when you start doing things like that, you can come up with pictures like this. So that was the same picture, but this time with a 10-stop in and then mucked about in Photoshop and stuff like that. All right. So my answer to your question, Birdie, is get out there and get yourself some ND filters, some graduation ND filters. Lightroom is good. You can see it is good, and if it's for screen and that, you could see, like, if it's for screen and that, no one's really going to notice. It's probably when you're just going to, when you're going to zoom in, you will see the noise being pulled out of the shot. The noise showing in the shot, I mean. Right, so that's that, Birdie. I hope that's answered your question down there in Pennsylvania. Now, the next question is, let's have a look if anyone's, all right, someone from Ghana's in the house here. We've got Africa here as well. Brilliant. I think we've got all the continents in here, as a matter of fact. Okay, good. Durdle Door, Man of War Bay. Yeah, it is. that's where that picture was. Alan, well done. Michael Sullivan from Newcastle upon Tyne. I don't know if you're in the house. If you are, say hi. Mark, I really want to start trying some astrophotography. What is a good lens to buy, and do I need to use special post-processing software like Sequator? In brackets he's got here, I think that's what it's called, to make my image worthy of looking and printing. Your advice is very much appreciated. Right, I've never heard of the program Sequator, to be honest with you. I am not an astrophotographer. I have taken photos of the stars and got decent results, but there are people that specialize it, and they probably use different software is what I'm trying to say there. But for me, Lightroom and Photoshop is perfect, and I do know lots of photographers that do stars and they use Lightroom and Photoshop. So you will need post-processing software, absolute fact. The reason is you take astrophotography at a high ISO, 1600 ISO, 3200 ISO generally, and because of that you get a lot of noise, so you do need to post-process to try and pull that noise back in and smooth the picture out. Other people can suggest lenses as well here for Michael, but my suggestion is an ultra wide angle lens with a wide aperture, at least f2.8. so you're going to need an ultra wide angle lens. So on a full frame that would go to about 16 millimeters on a full frame camera. On a crop sensor, you got me going there, 10 mil, 11 mil, and on a micro 4/3, I think that's about 8 mil, right? So that's ultra wide angle with a wide aperture. They are not cheap, I'm afraid. They're not cheap. The other thing that I think, I'm not 100% on this, but I've only ever took stars on a full frame camera because they deal with noise better. And again, that costs more money, all right? Hopefully that's helped you out, Michael. And if anyone else does astrophotography and can advise Michael, please put it in the comments there, all right? The next one is from Gavin Foley. From Manchester. He says, I've seen photographs post-processed that have a classic painting look. Is that done with a preset in Lightroom or something that's done manually in Lightroom or Photoshop? Done manually, actually. I'm going to take a sip. Cheers. I can see a lot of questions coming through here, like Adam, what's the best camera for studio photography, blah 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 blah. I will try and answer some of them towards the end, so don't worry. If you do want your question answered, you know the score by now. You click the link in the description of this video and you go and fill in the form, because it gives me a chance to look at the questions and get you an answer, all right? So that's the best way, but I do obviously try to answer questions here as well. And also, while I'm on it, hit that like button please and subscribe to our channel. We need likes. Everyone needs likes, but as a YouTube channel we need likes. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, what can I do right now, just go bonk and hit that like button please. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to it and hit the bell button, all right? So really, I can't tell you how much that helps us out, and I absolutely appreciate it if you do that. Right, so back to Gavin. He says he's saying that he's looking at pictures that have got a classic painting look, and is it a Lightroom preset or is it manually done in Photoshop? So there's loads of ways to do it, but it's mainly manually done in Photoshop. And I'm going to show you a few pictures here. I wonder if he's here. Gavin, are you here in the house? If you are, please say hi. Gavin Foley. I think this is the type of thing you're talking about. Yeah, there's one here. Here is another picture, and here is another picture. They look like paintings. They look like watercolors, don't they? It's actually a photograph, and these are done by a photographer that a fine art photographer we've been working with called Trudy Kepke. She is brilliant, one of the best in the country, right? We've got a course coming up with Trudy, and she is going to teach you how to create these pictures, how to take a photograph and turn it into this, and you know, and that. It's absolutely fantastic. It is like, well, it is exactly what you're saying, Gavin. It's a mixture of a painting and a photograph, and she takes scenes, and I tell you what, I've been finding it fascinating working with her, because Instagram, and well, mainly Instagram, it's popularized all the good photography places. You know, you see them on there, and people now actually go on Instagram just to find places to go and photograph. So you just get the same pictures. They're all good, of the same places, you know, same places. And I'm going to put my hands up. I've done the same thing. All right. Trudy took this on board and started to create these pictures that hundreds of other people are taking and making them her own, you know, making them absolutely unique like this. And they're done in Photoshop with the original picture, and lots of layers and textures and techniques and brushes that she makes, and this, that, and the other. We've got a course coming up that's going to teach you that. All right. Now, there's going to be if you want to know about it, you need to go to this page here, theschoolofphotography.com/courses/register your interest. Okay. And yeah, and you put your name and that in there. We will send you a link to this course before it gets fully released, and you'll get a discount as well. But hopefully that's answered your question, and it gave me an opportunity to tell people about this course. To be honest, I am looking forward to it. We've nearly finished it. All right, we've nearly finished it. Honestly, we're nearly there. Now, that's Michael, and oh yeah, there he is. He's in here. Mick. He's called Mick here. Michael here and Mick there. Thanks for answering the question. Gus, no problem. No problem at all, mate. Right. Oh, that's Gavin. Yeah, and Gavin's here. Yes, well done. Thanks, Gavin. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that that's answered your question. All right. Ellie Tyler, we've got here now from New York. Oh, no, that's a place that I want to go. I've never been to New York. That is one place I really want to go. Right, Ellie, I've read before that becoming a professional photographer isn't smart. This is the opening line I've got here. Because photography will start to feel like work. Right? Is this true in your case? Is it worth it to leave my passion as a hobby? Okay, so I get what you're trying to say, right? The thing that made me laugh there is it will start to feel like work. Well, of course it's going to feel like work, Ellie, because it is bloody work, right? And let me tell you something about photography. It's not all fun, right? It looks great, doesn't it? You see all these photos and they look brilliant, and they're this, that, and the other, right? 90% of my job is answering emails, doing all the accounts, if you like. I've got staff, you know. It's hard work, right? It is hard work, and then there's a little bit of fun in there that you can go and have fun with, right? So I think that you you got this sort of dream, and it's not just you, Ellie. Let's come on, let's crush this. Let's crush it now, right? It's not just you. Everyone's got this dream. Hey man, I'm going to be a photographer and I'm just going to walk around and take pictures and earn loads of money. No, that doesn't happen. All right, it is bloody hard work, and it's much harder to be a photographer than to be I don't know, like a builder or a carpenter or something. And I'm not saying anything bad about carpentry or anything like that. But the reason is that photography is much more competitive. It's a much more competitive industry. It's like acting or wanting to be a professional footballer, right? Everyone wants to do it. Now, when everyone wants to do it, you have to work that little bit harder to be a professional and to earn money out of it. Sorry, guys. I've got to turn my heater off. It's getting bloody boiling hot in here, right? So you've got to work a lot harder to be a photographer. So probably you've come up to someone and spoke like me in the pub, and I've just given you a mouthful like this because it's actually true. Now, it doesn't mean don't follow it. There's a really simple rule to the people that make it in photography, and it is that you can't literally do anything else, right? And I don't mean that like physically, I mean like if you start to do something else outside of that creative thing, you get depressed, or you just want to, you know, I don't know, jump off a cliff or something like that. It's just like it's like that, you know, like you can't do anything else, and you'd much rather be skint than, you know, earn loads of money, I don't know, doing something else. And you just get there. You just get there because you just refuse to do anything else. You just refuse. You just don't do it. Yeah. So, Ellie. Oh, and that's it as well. Actually, there's another question. Is it worth to just leave it as a passion? Leave the passion as a hobby? The best people that I find that that love photography the most, and I think, and this is right what you're saying, are I've got students that have been on my courses for years, and I've known them for years, and they've got, you know, a good job, and they do this at the weekends, and they really put time and effort into it, and they love it. And I look at them and I think, oh, I wish I could get out there and love it as much as you do all the time, right? But I'm too busy working on photography. See, this is your question, isn't it? So it just depends, really. If you can do other things and earn a lot of money from it, then maybe that's the way forward, and then have it as a hobby. If you can't, if you're absolutely passionate about what you do, then you've got to keep going for it, ain't you? Got no choice. I hope that's answered your question. That was a long one, Ellie. I bet she ain't even here. Bet she ain't even here, and I've said all of that. If you're here, Ellie, put it in the comments there. The next question is, I'll just see if anyone else has got any comments on what I just said there. Please help Ellie out. And put it in the comments. Peter Lind here from Denmark. Hello, Peter. I hope you're all right. It says, a friend talked to me recently about back button focus, especially when you are on a tripod. Do you have any advice about that? Well, I've never heard of it being an absolute sort of must if you're on a tripod. I have heard of it when you're off a tripod. I don't use it. I've tried it. It is a preference for most people. It's just a preference. I use the front button focus. And actually, let me just show you here. If you use back button focus, whack in the comments why you use it and why you prefer it, please, and help Peter out. So let's just have a look. All right, so you've got the normal focus button, which is your shutter release there. You all know about that one, okay? Then on this particular camera, you can set up this button here, which is called function 1. You can set that one up. I wonder if I can do that, and it'll there we go. You can set that one up, and then you press that one to focus in, and then when you're focused, you press your button on the shutter release here, and then you take the picture. All right, so it takes 2 fingers to take a picture rather than 1. Now there is benefits to it, and the main benefits is tracking. So if you're tracking objects, you know, like a football match, or I don't know, motorbikes or whatever, you can track with the focusing button. So you can focus and track, and then when you're ready, you can press the other button. So you keep this one held down all the time and track the subject, and then you take the pictures. Another reason some people use it is because they're too trigger happy. So you know the shutter release has got a halfway setting to focus, and then you push it fully down to take the picture. Well, and I know this on my courses, I see people do it all the time. They're just constantly taking pictures instead of focusing in. So some people change it because of that, because they're a bit too trigger happy. And another reason is that you can look through your viewfinder and focus in on things before you actually take the picture, I suppose. That's another reason. Yeah, and that's about it really. And it is a preference thing. So yeah, hopefully people are going to put in the comments there for Peter here, like why they use back button focus, or why they don't use back button focus. There's no wrong or right to it, okay? Hopefully that's answered your question, Peter. Another drink for me. I use back button focus all of the time. I often just use the center focus, and then I can move the subject. Often birds. Oh yeah, so that would make sense, wouldn't it? Like birds moving around. Dilladeer. Anyway, I'll let you read that. I'm going to move on to the next one. Louise Pascoe from North Essex. Oh, that's near us. As someone learning how to use the manual settings, what's the most important to focus on mastering initially? That's a question, isn't it? You've got to master it all one stage at a time. I think it's about the balancing of exposure when it comes to manual, to create different visual effects. And what I mean by that is, so if you're working manually and you want to get a long depth of field, you're going to need a smaller aperture, right? So you know that you need a small aperture, right? Small hole in the lens. So how do you balance the light around that to enable you to get a long depth of field? That's working manually. And similarly, if you want a shallow depth of field, that's with a blurry background, then you need a wider aperture. And then how are you gonna compensate manually for the light? I've got a feeling, Louise, that you're trying to run before you can walk, because I hear these questions all the time. I might be wrong, I'm not, but I want to show you something, if you don't mind. So here is the course that I run, the photography course, and I want to show you where balancing exposures are. Lesson 11. Now, the massive mistake that people make is that they go straight onto YouTube and start going, I want to work manual. I want to work manual, and they just go and it all goes absolutely nuts because they've missed out the building blocks before you get there. All right, so the point I'm making is get off YouTube, except for this channel, right? Except for this live, get off YouTube, and you got to learn one stage at a time. If my students are on here, hopefully you can give her some advice here, because I've got a, I might be totally wrong, but I've got a feeling that Louise is just saying, come on, I want to work manually, how do I do it? Like most people do. And the fact of the matter is, it don't work like that. You have to learn, and you've got to build up them building blocks to get to that. But to answer your question, what's the most important part? It's that balance of light, light coming through different areas of your camera. All right, like shutter speed and like the aperture. There you go. Hopefully that's helped you out there. The next question here is from Eb Rijmersma. I think I did actually get that right, from the Netherlands. Now, he says, when I take a picture in the dark with different light strengths, how can I get my metering right? When I meter for the brightest light, the rest is too dark. When I meter for the darkest light, the light is too bright. Okay, right. Post-processing is what you need for night photography. Let's go over to Lightroom and let's have a look at some stuff. Where are we? Well, here's an example here, look. So this is probably a bit bright. I wonder if I've got a better example, actually. Let's have a look at a better example. Yeah, here we go. Right, so that looks all right. This looks all nicely exposed and balanced and blah, blah, blah. But let's reset the picture. That was the exposure. Okay. That, why am I on? Hang on a minute. Still on the grad tool. But there you go. And I think this is probably what's happening. You're taking pictures and they're looking like that. When you process them, they look like that. Okay. So, and then if you bring them into Photoshop, which I did here, this is what I did that to sort of blend the colors together. Then they look like, to harmonize the colors. Sorry, not to blend them together. Then they look like that. Now, shooting raw and post-process. When you're out taking night photography, also bracket the shot. And that can go back to this one here, as a matter of fact. Let's have a look at this one. Look. So that's a bright exposure. That's exposed for this area. And oh, I've got to reset it, haven't I? Anyway, that was a darker exposure that was exposed for the top bit here, and then they're blended together to create something like this. Yeah, oh yeah, there we go. That's, sorry. Now I knew I had them in here somewhere. Right, there you go. That one there, there's one. And I took this shot as well, which is the bright bit down the bottom. So that's for the bottom section. And this was for the top section. And then you merge them together and do some post-processing, and it comes out like that, okay? So, bracket the shots, shoot in RAW, and you will get some decent night photography, right? It's as simple as that. So hopefully that's helped you out, and I hope you're doing well out there in the Netherlands. All right, let's go back to camera, and we are running out of time a little bit. I've got so many questions here, and I do apologize if I don't get to yours, but I'm just going to try and speed up a little bit here. There's a quick one from Dennis Logan here from Sunderland. He says he has an Olympus E410 camera. It comes with 2 lenses. It came in the deal. Can he use them same lenses on other cameras because he wants a larger screen? Yes, if it's an Olympus camera and they're interchangeable lenses, you can, you know, change the lenses on the Olympus cameras. And I believe, and someone else can help me out here, you can use the Olympus lenses on Panasonic cameras as well, and vice versa. So, because they're the Micro Four Thirds Panasonic. Hopefully that's not. I'm going to move on quickly. I want to try and get as many done as I can. Other people help me out here and put the Olympus lens thing in there as well. Claudia Rudolph from Germany. Have a sip. Common question coming up. Common question. Here we go. I've just started taking photos in RAW, and now my storage on my PC is running low. What's a useful and cost-effective yet secure way to store your photography? Right. Firstly, you've got to delete the pictures that you don't want, okay? It's very easy these days. You're shooting in RAW and you're going out and you take 10 million pictures, right? and this is what Lightroom's for. You plug your card in and you import only the ones that you want. Simple as that. By doing that, the rest of them you've got rid of, and you've saved yourself so many pictures. I mean, let's face it, if we get 1 in 10 pictures good, we've done all right, haven't we? You know what I mean, mate? It's as simple as that. Sometimes I can go and take 50 shots and I've only got 2 that I think are decent. Well, the rest of them go, mate. They're deleted and gone. The other thing is, as you import them, convert them to DNGs. That saves file size. It might only be slight, but if you times that by 100, 200, 500 pictures, that turns into a lot of memory, okay? The other thing is, oh yeah, an external USB drive is probably the perfect thing. I mean, anyone else? I've already got someone already. Christoph is already saying, look, an external SSD for £100. Yeah, an external SSD drive is absolutely perfect for the job. I have not got 1 terabyte of photographs yet in all of my career digital, because I delete the ones that I don't want. I've got loads of photos. They're all DNGs as well. Yeah, and I've not even got to 1 terabyte yet, and that's from all of my years. And then I speak to other people and they're in terabytes worth, and it's because they're not deleting the stuff that they don't want. It's as simple as that. And Lightroom is there as a perfect tool for you to use to enable you to be tidy, okay? If we go back to the 90s, if you're old enough like me, you've got stacks like that, loads of them, of photographs. This is how I used to photograph. Obviously, it's film. That's where I started. And you get like 30 or 36 pictures there, and only 1 or 2 of them are the ones that you're going to use. But you've still got to keep all of them, and it takes up drawers and it's the same thing with digital. But digital is even better because you ain't even got the print. You can get rid of them straight away. Okay. So hopefully that's helped Claudia out, and hopefully it's helped a lot of people out, because I know that you are very scared to delete. Now, we've still got time. Don't worry. We've still got time here. I will start looking through questions that have come in through in a minute, but I'm going to try and pick out some good ones to... this one. I like this one. I've got to answer this one, right? It's from Tony Cox in Leicester, right? If you're here, Tony, it rings a bell. I saw Tony's name. But anyway, if you're here, say hello. Hi, Mark. I have to ask, can a good photographer be made, or do you have to be a born natural, right? The reason that I ask is that I am a keen amateur photographer who has studied for a good few years using various online courses, and I'm currently on mine, and he finds them very enjoyable and rewarding. Thank you, Tony. But I never seem to be able to capture that wow moment. However, my daughter-in-law often shows me images that she's taken on her smartphone, right, on the spur of the moment of the grandkids and that, and they are simply wonderful, right? Okay, it goes on a little bit, but you've got the gist. So let's answer this, right? Because it is a bloody good question, right? It is a really good question, right? The first thing I would say is that as good as your sister-in-law is, them smartphone images will print, you know, they'll print all right to that, but if you ever wanted to blow them up, you ever wanted to edit them, you're going to have trouble because it won't have the detail. So that's the first thing. Smartphones are great, don't get me wrong, but they're great for screen, aren't they? They're great for this, that, and the other. They're not great for like pro-end digital prints, massive stuff. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, a smartphone, you don't have to think about things. You can just capture moments. And if that's all you want to do, then you can set your camera up to that. Just put it onto the green square if you want, and you can capture moments. So that's that as well, right? There is a thing called having an eye for photography, isn't there? We've all heard it. You've got an eye for it. And some people do have an eye for it. They really do. I've taught people for years, you know, classes online, kids in schools, students in college and everything, right? And you see someone who's got the eye, you know, and then all you have to do is pump that knowledge into them and they turn into a really good photographer. So I actually get where you're coming from. Sometimes that eye is there, but it still needs working on, because you can have an eye for a shot and you might get a few shots, but it's not going to ever be consistent. It does need to be worked on. I remember watching an interview with David Beckham, right? And because you look at David Beckham and you think absolute born natural footballer, right? Well, he wasn't. He was born a good footballer and he enjoyed it and whatever else. But he had to practice and practice and practice. And I remember watching this interview, and he said what he used to do when he was a kid, while all his mates are out playing and all of this. So his mates are doing, well, what teenagers and kids do. While they're doing that, he's getting a ball, putting it on the grass, and kicking it into spots on the wall where he'll draw on the wall. And if he didn't hit that spot, get the ball, put it there, do it again. Get the ball, put it back, do it again. Ball, put it back, do it again. Hours and hours and hours and hours until he got it right every time, right? So it's you can get fluky. You can get fluky, and you can have an eye for photography. But if you're not working on it, you're never going to be consistent at it. All right, I hope that makes sense. And the other thing, actually, Tony, that I want to say here as well is a mistake that people make is they try to emulate what they see, like on Instagram or wherever they see it, right? And it's good to surround yourself with good photography, and I think that is a good thing. But I'm talking about going to galleries and seeing photography, or magazines, not on the internet, you know, like proper going to the photographer's gallery in London or the Tate Britain or wherever you need to go, that type of photography. But don't ever try to emulate what you see. So don't see a landscape and go, oh, I'm going to go and do that. You're never going to do it for a start. And if you do, it's never going to look as good as what you saw. So, and then it knocks your confidence. Be yourself and be you, and go out and take pictures that are interesting to you. You'll be surprised how many good photos out there. I tell you, you've only got to pick up a Henri Cartier-Bresson book, okay, and flick through that book. And I know for a fact, if you put them pictures on Instagram, you won't get any likes. Well, not many of them. Won't get any likes. And this is Henri Cartier-Bresson, and that's because it needs to be seen in an environment where people actually know what they're looking at. You know, you can see it's not a chocolate box. Anyway, I really like that question, and I hope it's answered. I hope it's answered to you, and then maybe someone else can put some other stuff in the comments there. I think that's a YouTube video question. That, not, I mean, like a proper one. Maybe I'll get into it. Right. I've got, there was another question here. Oh yeah, listen to this. You're gonna like this. This one is from Edward Owens in Canada. Why are you hosting your show on Facebook? Facebook discriminates against and censors conservatives. I find it distasteful that this session is on Facebook. How are conservatives supposed to be participating in your great classes, thanks Edward, and not use Facebook? I haven't actually got a clue what you're going on about, Edward, but you're obviously very passionate about what you're saying, and I don't think you actually read maybe the email or the posts. We are on YouTube. But it made me laugh, I've got to say. I'm not saying that in a degrading way, but it's funny. Here's one from David Russell in Loch Lomond in Scotland. What a beautiful place Loch Lomond is. Anyone who's not been to the UK or Scotland, go to Loch Lomond and just go wow, because it's such a beautiful place. He says, are teleconverters worthwhile? Is it straightforward that if you have a 2x teleconverter, then you can zoom twice as far in? And then there's other suggestions, goes on about talking about third-party ones and other stuff. Are you a lover or hater of them? Right. The first question is, it is as simple as if you've got a 2x teleconverter, it doubles your focal length. So if you've got a 400mm lens, it will turn into an 800mm lens. All right. Now, the ones that I've used have been absolutely brilliant, I've got to admit it. I think that they're a brilliant cost-effective way of increasing your focal length without buying a really expensive lens. Now, I must say I've only used the expensive ones, but they're not as expensive as a lens, if you know what I mean. I used the Fuji ones, and I thought it was absolutely superb. I've got all the clarity, all the detail that I needed, and didn't think anything of it at all. They are cost effective, but the good ones are still dear. So they are cost effective, but still a bit dear. I'm just wondering if anyone else has got any more advice for David there, because it would help him out. Now, like about teleconverters, and there we go. We've got. I'm just trying to pick. I've got one more. I want to answer one more. And I'm just trying to pick what one's going to suit everybody, as a matter of fact. Flash guns. People want to hear about flash, probably. Flash guns is quite a hot topic. So let's go, and then I'll answer some in here. Right, here we go. Yeah, Harry Moyles from the west coast of Scotland. There's a lot of Scottish people in here today from the west coast of Scotland. All right, Harry, welcome to the house. Is it worth buying cheaper flash guns, he said here, to use with his Canon camera for flash, or should I buy a Canon speed light and buying the more expensive flash, does it improve your flash photography? Okay, so firstly, a flash is a flash, right? Wherever it comes from, it just flashes, right? I've got this one here. This one here is the Canon 600 EXRT. It's quite old now, and I paid a lot of money for it, but it's still going strong, right? It's very good quality, so I think that's one thing to consider. However, I've done courses and people have turned up to my courses with flash guns that look how they get, it's like a Chinese rip-off, and it looks like exactly the same as, like literally exactly the same as this, but it don't have Canon written on it. It has well, someone put some makes in here of flash guns. It wasn't Godox, it was, I think it began with Y or something like that, Yongli or something. Anyway, they've turned up, and I've had a few people turn up with them, and for all intensive purposes, they work exactly the same as the Canon. A total rip-off. I don't know how they get away with it. Boys, Chinese, isn't it? They just make anything. But yeah, and they were about £80. £80. That, I think, well, that's got to be 500 quid's worth. That there's a major difference there. Now, whether it stands the test of time, whether if you dropped it, it would break and things like that, is a different story. But I do know that it worked. The people that brought these Chinese knockoffs, they worked, and they worked exactly the same as that did there. So that's all I can say about that. I think that other people, oh look, loads of people were putting some comments in here. Yingyu, if that's how you say it, Newa, makes there. It looks like loads of people are buying them. Okay, so there you go. There's your answer. There's your answer, Harry. Hope you're enjoying Scotland. You might have a bit of snow up there. Imagine being on the west coast of Scotland when it snows. Apart from being freezing, it must look absolutely beautiful. Right, let's have a look through the comments and see if I can answer anyone's. I'm struggling to get. Which camera is good? The Canon M50 versus the ZV-1. That's from Sinner Winner. I don't know about the ZV-1, but I've got the Canon M50 and I'm looking at it right now. And I'll tell you what, that is a blinding little camera. I think it's brilliant. So that's all I can say about that one there. Let's... Hello from India. Need a question. I need a question. Anyone putting any in? They're probably right up the top here. If you were going out, there we go, this one's current. If you were going out on a local COVID permitted walk with your camera and you could only take one lens, which lens would that be? So if it was my Canon camera, this is a good question, isn't it? I wonder what other people would. Maybe what you could do is just take out a prime lens. So maybe you could take out just the 50mm prime and see what happened. That would keep you occupied. You'd have to move forwards, move backwards. You get your exercise in. There you go. There's my answer. Done. And before I answer the last question, I'm going to look for one. Before I answer it, please press like. Press like. It's easy. You just go bink and you press like, and it really helps us out. Helps this video out, helps the channel out, helps the School of Photography out. Yeah, so please do that and hit that subscribe button as well. There is the hard drive question there, same one again. And do you know what? Back button focus. I don't think there's any questions here to answer that I can find anyway. I'm enjoying a good. Does anyone know anything? Well, there you go. I remember seeing loads of questions right at the top, but I can't find them now. Never mind. Right, sorry guys. I'm just going to check right down the bottom here. Let's have a look. 50mm is easier to run. Paul Brown here. 50mm lens is easier to run from the police as well. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Right, let's end it on this one. From Photo Ra. Is Micro Four Thirds dead? No. The Panasonic Lumix cameras are going absolutely strong. Because of the filming element, they're mainly film cameras. Olympus cameras are brilliant, but they're in trouble. But hopefully, there's my Olympus here. I love it, man. I mean, I love this. I just love holding it. It's just, oh, it's so beautiful. But it is Micro Four Thirds, so it has its uses. Like, so this, I'd walk around do street photography with it, and I'd keep it with me, and it's just so brilliant. The lens, so this is an f2.8 lens. Look at the size of it. And it's a zoom lens. 12 to 40. So that's equivalent on a full frame of 24 to 80. So a 24 to 80mm f2.8 full frame lens would be absolutely massive. Well, look at that. Look how small it is. It's an f2.8 lens. But if I was doing some portraiture work, which I did the other day, I used my full frame camera because I knew I was going to be retouching it and I wanted as much detail as possible. So they do have their uses. I think that people get confused about that. And people just want the maximum resolution all the time, don't they? But it's not always about that. It's about size as well sometimes. Yeah, so I don't think it's dead. I sincerely hope that Olympus pulls back. I think that they made a real error back in the day by not having a full frame range. I think that was their major, but I mean, what do I know? What do I know? I'm not a camera maker or camera marketer, but I do believe they had a 35mm camera range that flew off the shelves in the 90s. You know, loads of people had Olympus cameras, 35mm Olympus. So why they didn't go full frame is beyond me. But there you go. Anyway, I hope they do. Anyway, that's right. That's it. That's it, guys. Right. I've had a wonderful time. I love doing these live Q&As, and I also love the fact that it's building. There's more people every month turn up to these things, and it's really great. So send us your love. Tell us what you think. Put it in the comments here, or you can actually put it in the comments of the video. So you've got live chat comments, and then you've got comments. So you could put it anywhere, really. Put it in the comments or there. It's been wonderful talking to you. Come over and see us if you do want to learn photography properly. Don't forget, we've got a sale at the minute. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are always sales. There isn't at the School of Photography. There isn't always sales here. And it's a 30% sale at the minute. And that won't last for long. And it's not going to come back for a long, long time. Okay, so if you are interested in joining our courses, now's the time if you want to save some money. And there you go. It's been great. Stay safe, be positive. It's all over soon. Our clever guys at Oxford made that vaccine. You've got to be proud to be British sometimes, haven't you, when things like that come out. So it won't be long. It won't be long, and we'll all be down the pub drinking proper beers, proper ones from the pump. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Look, yes, thank you, and I will see you next month. You want to know the specific date? Sign on to our newsletter on our website, and we will send you an email. Thanks, guys, and goodbye.